I always hated these overnight school events. Supposed to be for bonding, but it's just a bunch of sweaty teens crammed together, pretending to have fun while the teachers pretend we're not sneaking energy drinks and talking crap behind their backs. Each class was assigned a floor. Seniors, top floor, 4th. Juniors, 3rd. Sophomores, 2nd. Freshmen, 1st. I'm a junior. 3rd floor. Room 3B with 3 classmates. One of them's Marcus, my best friend. The other 2 are Sam and Tyler, the kind of guys who act tough but would cry if the Wi-Fi went out. By midnight, the lights dimmed and teachers did their rounds. Principal Ramirez made a speech over the intercom. Everyone, remain on your floors. No wandering. Stay inside after midnight. And under no circumstances is anyone to go outside after 3 a.m. This is not a drill. The PA clicked off. Everyone laughed, even me. Emergency alert warnings were a running joke ever since someone faked a nuclear threat during Spirit Week last year. But Marcus didn't laugh. He sat up, pale. Dude, he whispered. You didn't get the alert? I pulled out my phone. Dead. Battery was fine earlier. He handed me his. There it was. A black screen with red text. Warning, emergency alert, level black. Do not go outside after 3 a.m. Lock all windows and doors. Do not respond to knocking. Do not acknowledge voices outside. This is not a test. Stay inside. Current time, 2:41 a.m. You have 19 minutes. The lights flickered. Tyler cursed. Oh, come on. This again? Sam threw a pillow at him. It's just a dumb prank. But outside our window, the moon vanished behind thick fog, like it was being swallowed. The street lights went dark. And then came the knock. Soft, deliberate. Knock, knock, knock. We froze. Marcus mouthed the words, don't move. Another knock, this time from a different direction. From the hallway. But we were on the 3rd floor. Marcus crawled to the door and pressed his ear to it. I followed. There were footsteps. Bare feet, dragging. Slapping against the tile. Slow. Wet. Not rhythmic like a person walking. More like something testing its legs for the first time. Then a whisper. Low. Croaky. Let me in. I grabbed the doorknob. It was warm. Not like warm from touch warm, but cooked warm. Like it had been sitting in the sun for hours. Sam started laughing. You guys are so full of... Crack. The lights shattered above us. Marcus screamed. A long gurgled cry. I turned and saw it. Something had him. Tall. Long-limbed. Its arms bent backwards like broken twigs. It had Marcus by the face. Its fingers digging into his eye sockets like it was trying to wear him like a mask. Tyler ran. Made it halfway to the stairwell before the floor opened up. Not like it collapsed, like it peeled open. He didn't fall. He was pulled. We slammed the door and pressed against it. Sam vomited. I was too shocked to move. All I could hear was Marcus screaming. Then silence. Then a whisper. Right at the crack of the door. 2 more. Current time, 2:53 a.m. 7 minutes until 3 o'clock. Every second dragged. From the window, I saw them now, figures walking outside the school. Dozens. All identical. Moving like film running in reverse. Heads twitching. Faces blank. Each one tapping on windows, pacing in perfect loops. I tried calling 911. My phone turned on only to freeze with one message. You shouldn't be awake. Sam sobbed. What is this? Then the PA turned on again. Static hissed, then a voice. But it wasn't the principal. It was Marcus. Hey guys. It's fine now. I'm okay. Open the door. His voice was calm. Too calm. Like someone reading his voice from a script. Sam moved toward the door. I grabbed him. That's not him. But Sam didn't care. He unlocked the door. I had no choice. I ran. Down the hall. Down the stairs. The floor behind me shook. Something was following. Current time, 2:59 a.m. I burst onto the 2nd floor. Sophomore rooms. Empty. Doors all open. No sound. No people. No blood. Just emptiness. Then I looked down the hallway and saw a classroom door slowly creaking open. From the inside, Someone peeked out. Not a student, not a teacher, just a face, pale, paper-like skin, mouth stretched ear to ear, eyes too wide, fingers curled around the doorframe. It whispered, "You're almost out of time." I blinked, and the face was gone. The door it peeked from slowly shut with a soft click, like it had never opened at all. I backed away, chest heaving, legs trembling. The hallway behind me was filled with shadows, shifting like smoke. I could still hear Sam screaming from the third floor, cut short by a wet tearing sound. Then something thudded down the stairwell. 1 minute left. I ducked into the nearest classroom and slammed the door shut, locking it. I crawled under a desk and tried not to breathe. My body wanted to scream. My brain wanted to shut down. My heart was trying to punch through my ribs. Then silence. So quiet. I could hear the hum of the old ceiling light buzzing above. Everything felt wrong, like the air itself was waiting. I checked my phone. 3 a.m. The screen glitched. The numbers melted into red static. Then came the sound. Not from the hallway, from the inside of the classroom. Thump, 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 something dragging itself across the tile. It was crawling. I peeked from under the desk. A figure stood near the chalkboard, swaying. A girl in a freshman hoodie, long black hair covering her face. One leg bent the wrong way. She turned slowly, her neck cracking like dry branches, and looked at me. But it wasn't her face. It was multiple faces, all pressed together under one layer of skin. Eyes twitching behind stretched flesh. Smiling, crying, bleeding. I saw Marcus's eyes, Sam's mouth, Tyler's broken jaw stitched along her cheek. The body whispered in 5 voices at once. "Let us in." I bolted. She lunged, no, slid, across the floor like gravity didn't matter. Her limbs twitched out of sync, reaching for me. I burst into the hallway and ran. Doors began opening one by one. From each classroom they came. Students, teachers, all wrong. Their skin too smooth, joints bending the wrong way. No sound but their bones clicking like typewriters and that awful chorus. "Let us in, let us in." I sprinted for the stairwell and slipped. Blood, a lot of it. It smeared down the steps like someone had been dragged for hours. Halfway down I heard it, a soft knock behind me. I froze. Then another knock. But I was alone. I looked at the wall beside me. Nothing, until the bricks shifted. One of them moved inward, like it had been pressed. Then another, forming a square like a secret door. I stepped back. The wall opened slowly. Inside the dark space was a child, pale, wearing a school uniform from a decade ago. Eyes too big, face hollow, no lips. He smiled with raw gums and whispered, "They don't knock twice." Then he slammed the wall shut. Behind me, a voice hissed, "There you are." I turned face to face with Marcus, or what used to be him. His face was sunken, hands burned black. His chest was open, ribcage exposed like it had been carved from the inside, and something moved inside it, like a second mouth. "Come back upstairs," he said calmly. "It's safe now." I ran. I reached the first floor. The freshman rooms were dark. No figures, no whispering, but the air here, it was thick. Every breath burned. Something metallic hung in the air. The emergency exit glowed red at the end of the hallway. I ran toward it, until I passed the trophy case. Inside it, instead of trophies, were faces. Fresh, screaming, pressed against the glass like they were trying to get out. Some were students. Others, I swear I saw Principal Ramirez's face stitched to the glass. They didn't move. They just stared. Whispers surrounded me again, but this time, I couldn't understand the words. Just wet breathing and sobbing. I reached the door, the big red emergency exit. It was slightly open, and beyond it fog. Not just mist. It moved like something alive, pulsing, twitching. A long arm reached out of it. Then another. Something was crawling from the fog. Tall, too tall. I shut the door before it saw me, and that's when the loudspeaker came back on. The voice was my own. "You've already been let in. You just haven't noticed yet. The emergency door wouldn't close all the way. I pressed my back against it, trying to hold it shut, but the fog pressed harder. It wasn't normal fog. It breathed, and I heard something inside it, sniffing. I took off my hoodie and tied the door handle to a locker hinge. Just enough tension to keep it sealed. The moment I let go, the fog stopped pushing. It was waiting. I backed away. The hallway lights were flickering now. Everything looked washed in red and pale yellow like old film. My phone buzzed once. The screen showed a text from an unknown number. You're the last one who hasn't let them in. You brought them here. I dropped the phone. I turned the corner toward the nurse's office, only because it had no windows and a door that locked. As I passed the gym, I heard crying. Not whispers. Not them. Real crying. Human. I crept inside. In the corner, hiding beneath the metal bleachers, was a girl from the freshman class. Ariana. She was shaking so hard I thought she was seizing. Her clothes were soaked with blood that wasn't hers. I crouched low. Hey, it's okay. I'm not one of them. She looked up. Her eyes were so wide I thought they'd pop. I saw them. Take Mr. Gutierrez. I swallowed. Your teacher. She nodded. They took off his skin and wore it like a jacket. And then they made us line up. Like for attendance. And they counted us. One by one. I glanced around. Are you alone? No, her voice cracked. There were others. But if you cry, they hear you. If you say your name, they copy it. Then she looked me dead in the eye. Did you say your name? My stomach sank. Yes, I whispered. Marcus said it earlier. When they had him. She backed away. Then they've already copied you. I grabbed her arm. We have to go. I'm not like them. I'm still me. We moved fast. Back into the hallway, past the locker rooms, heading toward the kitchen. It had metal doors and no glass. Possible hiding spot. On the way, we passed a wall lined with photos of graduating classes. But the faces in the pictures had changed. They weren't smiling anymore. They were looking at us. Bleeding from the eyes. Mouths open in silent screams. A few had shifted, now facing away from the camera. Just the backs of their heads. One photo had a black smear across the face where I knew someone had been before. Inside the kitchen, we bolted the doors shut. For a second, we were safe. Then Ariana whispered, "Don't freak out." But someone followed us. I turned. One of the chefs was standing by the walk-in freezer. Or at least something that looked like the chef. He was twitching, head tilted, apron soaked in something dark. He pointed to Ariana. "You forgot to wash your hands before lunch," he said in a voice that rattled like broken glass. I pulled Ariana behind me. The chef's jaw began to unhinge. Skin peeled from his face like it was just a mask barely hanging on. I didn't think. I grabbed the closest thing. A boiling pot of soup left on a reheat burner. I hurled it at him. It melted through his chest. Steam rose. He screamed, but it wasn't human. It sounded like a choir of voices trapped in one throat. The body fell, and something inside it skittered out. Fast, like a spider made of hands. It zipped into the freezer and vanished. Ariana was crying again. But this time, the crying didn't stop when she covered her mouth. Because it wasn't her. From behind the metal pantry shelf, another Ariana stepped out. Eyes black, hair soaked in blood, mouth open in a perfect O. She whispered, "You shouldn't have said your name." I yanked the real Ariana and shoved open the kitchen back door. Outside was the courtyard, flooded in pale foglight. The stars above had disappeared. No wind, no sound. And standing in the center of the courtyard was me, wearing my jacket, holding my phone, smiling with too many teeth, pointed at me. There's only room for one. The thing wearing my face stood in the center of the courtyard, still pointing. His hand didn't lower. It just twitched like it glitched in and out of reality. Ariana clutched my arm. "Run," I whispered. But the thing said it with me, at the exact same time. Same tone, same breath, like an echo crawling out of my mouth. Took a step forward. I stepped back. It mirrored me, but not in reverse. Like it was predicting me. Ariana screamed and bolted left, disappearing into the fog. I turned to follow her, and my copy screamed too. Not a shout. A blood-curdling, skin-shredding shriek that sounded like a dying animal caught in a metal fan. It dropped onto all fours, and its legs bent backward as it charged. I ran. I couldn't see Ariana. Just thick fog and the school fading behind me. The sky wasn't black. It was gray and pulsing, like lungs breathing over the world. No stars. No moon. Just this suffocating, living storm. Behind me, thump, thump, thump. The thing was fast. It didn't even sound like footsteps. It sounded like meat hitting wet tile. I dove through the first open door I saw, room 1C, the freshman social studies room. I slammed the door shut, pushed a desk against it, and turned, right into Ariana. She was in the corner, crying again, rocking, whispering to herself. But something felt wrong. Ariana, I asked. She didn't look up. Her hands were shaking, but something glinted beneath them, her teeth. All of them, in her hands. She had pulled her own teeth out. Had to. They kept whispering through them, she mumbled, voice wet. Then she slowly turned her face toward me. Her mouth was still full of teeth. Too many. More than could ever fit in a human skull. Lining her throat, piled under her tongue, nestled between her gums like a shark's nightmare. She wasn't Ariana. The door behind me exploded inward. The copy of me crashed through, moving like a puppet in fast forward. Its neck twisted as it looked past me and saw the tooth thing in the corner. Then, it laughed. In my voice. A laugh I never made but knew. The two things lunged, not at me but at each other. They tore into each other with wet, slapping sounds. Skin splitting, bones cracking. My copy pulled its own jaw open like unzipping a coat and bit down on Ariana's shoulder with the inside of its face. Ariana shrieked and bit back, sinking her wall of teeth into my double's chest, ripping out a chunk of something black and still moving. I ran. I didn't look back. I tore through the hallway, past lockers that now bled from the vents, past classroom doors that whispered my name, past the principal's office, where I swear I saw Ramirez's silhouette strung up like a puppet of organs against the blinds. I found the stairs to the basement. I had no plan, just down. Anywhere but here. The basement was pitch black. The second I hit the last step, the air changed. It wasn't just cold. It was ancient, like this place had been here before the school, before the town. I used the flashlight on my phone. It barely worked. The walls were concrete and wrong. They curved in unnatural ways. The pipes above were dripping something that hissed when it hit the floor. I turned and there were bodies, dozens, piled along the far wall. Students, teachers, some still breathing but wrong. One girl had no face, just skin stretched tight like wax paper. Another boy blinked at me, even though his eyes were on the sides of his throat. And in the center of the room, there was a hole. A deep, perfectly round tunnel drilled into the earth, breathing fog. It wasn't part of the school. There were voices coming from inside. All of them mine. Laughing, screaming, crying, whispering, singing. A sign beside it, scrawled in blood, read, "All versions must return to the source." And from inside the hole, something whispered up, "Time to come home." The hole breathed, not metaphorically. It exhaled, a slow, deep gust of warm, humid air that smelled like blood and mildew. I could feel it brushing the skin under my shirt, like it was trying to get in. Behind me, the pile of broken bodies shifted. Something low gurgled, then fell silent again. I should have run. But the sign, "All versions must return to the source." I was the only one left, wasn't I? No, that's what it wanted me to believe. I stood on the edge of the tunnel, flashlight shaking in my hand. I could still hear the voices rising from deep below. My voice, in all the ways it had ever sounded. Scared, angry, begging, whispering. Even one version singing some childhood lullaby my mom used to hum when I was sick. That broke me more than the gore ever could. Then my phone buzzed. I looked down. A message. "Do not look at it." Another buzz. "Turn around." Quietly. My heart stopped. Something was behind me. I held my breath and slowly turned, body stiff. At first, I thought it was Ariana again, but her legs bent backward now. Her arms dragged across the floor, twitching. Her skin had peeled down from her face and hung loose around her neck like wet cloth. She didn't have eyes anymore, just deep holes filled with teeth. I didn't move, neither did she. Then she whispered, voice like wind through bones. You can't leave until you're whole. Then, click. She dropped onto all fours, her back splitting open, and something crawled out of her spine. A smaller version of me, stitched from hair and teeth, dragging itself by its jaw. I bolted, but not into the hallway, into the hole. I fell. I expected to hit ground, but I kept falling. For a moment I saw everything. Multiple versions of myself suspended in the fog like broken marionettes. Some hanging by their throats, others split in half. One version was eating another. One version was just sitting in a school desk, smiling, fingers fused together like wax. And below us all, a massive body, not human, made of faces, thousands of them, all versions of me, stacked and twitching, forming one enormous creature. It opened its many mouths and spoke. You were never the original. I hit ground, concrete, wet. The tunnel opened into a mirror of the school basement, but twisted. The bodies were still here but alive. They moved in perfect loops. A teacher walked into the wall over and over. A kid wrote the same word on the chalkboard again and again. Let. I turned to run, and saw someone waiting at the stairs. Me, the first one, the real one. He wasn't smiling, just watching. I asked, Are you the original? He shook his head. There is no original. That's the joke. Then he walked backward into the fog and was ripped apart by invisible hands. I ran through the upside-down school, heart pounding. Doors screamed. The intercom screeched. Then a voice came on, Principal Ramirez, but not really. The voice was stretched, echoing. Attention students. School is now dismissed. Proceed to the source. Leave your flesh at the door. I burst into the nurse's office. There, sitting in the exam chair, was Ariana again. The real one. Her eyes were normal. Her teeth were still in her mouth. She looked up at me. You made it, she said softly. I stared at her. You survived. She nodded. Barely, but something was wrong. Her hands were twitching under her hoodie. You're real, I asked. She smiled, and 3 voices answered at once. Almost. Then she lunged. Ariana lunged. But it wasn't just her anymore. Her body ripped itself open down the middle, like a zipper splitting under pressure. From inside, they poured out smaller versions of her, fused with other faces. Some had my eyes. One had my mother's voice, whispering lullabies as it crawled on spider-like limbs. They swarmed the nurse's office. I kicked the rolling cabinet into their path and bolted into the hallway. The upside-down school groaned around me. Lockers opened and shut like jaws. The hallway ceiling peeled back, revealing thousands of versions of me strung up by wires, twisting, twitching, all watching me with bloodshot eyes. I screamed. The walls screamed back. I needed out. I didn't care if it was into fire or fog or hell itself. I just couldn't stay down here another second. I saw the old elevator door by the library, rusted and half open. I sprinted toward it. The floor buckled beneath me. Something huge moved under the tiles, like muscle shifting under skin. The ground was breathing. But I made it. The elevator was still functional. The panel flickered. The first floor button was gone. Only one option remained. REII. Reverse. I hesitated, then slammed it. The doors shut. The lights blinked red. And the elevator began to rise, but in reverse motion. The numbers counted down into negative digits. Each floor we passed, I caught glimpses. -1. A classroom filled with students sobbing into notebooks. Their eyes had been replaced with keyholes. -2. A hallway of teachers, each on repeat, walking into walls while chanting, Class is in session. Class is in session. -3. A mirror version of the courtyard, but everything was frozen. Even the fog. And in the center was me, standing completely still with a knife in his mouth. Smiling. -4. A nursery filled with cribs. All of them shaking. From inside, I heard hundreds of me screaming to be let out. -5. Black. Nothing. Just silence. Then, the doors opened. Not to the school. Not to anything human. It was outside. Or what was left of it. The sky was bleeding fog. The ground was wet flesh. The air pulsed with the sound of distant breathing. And standing just a few feet from the elevator was a crowd of everyone I've ever known. My mom. My best friend Marcus. Sam. Tyler. Ariana. Teachers. Classmates. Neighbors. All standing silently. But their faces were stitched. Eyes sewn open. Mouths sealed with barbed wire. They didn't move. Then, one by one, their stitches ripped open as they spoke in unison. You were never meant to survive. You are not the main version. You are a branch that must be cut. My hands burned. I looked down. My fingertips were peeling back, revealing another set of fingers underneath, smaller, paler, twitching. The fog behind the crowd shifted. A colossal figure rose from the ground, built from bodies. A living cathedral of flesh and voice. It leaned forward and whispered directly into my skull. Let us wear you. Just once. And in that moment, I saw it. The truth. I had gone outside after 3 a.m. Back at the start. During the event. Maybe just for a second. Maybe to check the front door. Maybe to follow a noise. I stepped out. And when I stepped back in, I wasn't me anymore. The crowd stepped closer. Their mouths widened into grins that split their cheeks. The sky began to fall. And from behind me inside the elevator, a voice whispered, there's still a way back. But you won't be whole. I stood at the edge of the impossible world. Flesh ground beneath my feet. Sky pulsing red and gray like a living wound. The stitched crowd of everyone I'd ever known. Dead and not dead. Watched me with grins torn wider than any human mouth should stretch. The thing inside the fog stepped forward. It towered over the ruins of the sky. Its skin was made from versions of me. Laughing, crying, whispering, screaming. Stacked into a body of sin held together by want. It didn't attack. It offered. Let us wear you. Just once. We'll show you everything. The crowd parted. And for the first time I saw the original. He was strapped to a chair made of bones. Buried to his chest in the breathing ground. Tubes ran from his spine into the sky. His face, it was mine but hollow. Not scared. Not sad. Just done. I stepped forward. My body burned with static. My thoughts weren't mine anymore. Behind me the elevator was still open. Still humming. Still lit. The voice from before spoke again. You can go back. But not all of you. Something has to stay. And I understood. One version of me gets to leave. One version of me must be worn. And I was the only one left with a choice. I turned toward the original. He looked up at me with milky eyes. Is it worth it? I asked him. My own voice echoed back. Is anything? I reached forward and gripped his face. Peeled off like wet paper. And beneath it was nothing. A blank, formless canvas. That's when I understood. We were never meant to survive. We were meant to be templates. Just shells. The fog didn't invade the world. The world invaded the fog. I turned back to the stitched crowd. Raised the skin mask of the original in one hand. I'll wear it, I said. But I won't be worn. The ground shook. The fog screamed. Not in rage, but laughter. They accepted. And I felt it pour into me. All of them. Every version. Every choice I never made. Every second I hesitated. Every time I lied. Every person I could have been. I became the sum. And I remembered everything. I woke up in the real world. Lying on the gym floor. Fluorescent lights above. Teachers yelling. Sirens in the distance. Students crying. Some screaming. Others dead. The front doors of the school were wide open. It was 3:01 a.m. Someone had broken the rule. I sat up, feeling my bones creak like old wood. They asked who I was. I told them my name, but I knew as the words left my mouth, that wasn't my name anymore. Not really, not completely, and no one noticed that the real me never came back. Last emergency alert, 3:06 a.m. Warning, warning. An entity has successfully crossed back into your reality. It wears a human. It will not know it's not real until it's too late. Do not attempt to identify it. Do not trust anyone who claims they survived. Stay inside. Do not go outside after 3 a.m.